to be part of the Sustainable Living Festival Big Weekend, which I'm totally plugging. Anything you want to do this weekend, go to slf.org.au. And also I'm coming to you very happily from beautiful Gadigal country in the inner west of Sydney. We'll just have a quick howdy from Baroness Tanya.
Howdy, yeah.
Baroness Nikki.
Hi.
Two hands. And from Baroness Jude.
Hello.
And Daphne. Okay, so we've got some questions over here already, and they were questions that were submitted to Slido. But what I want you to do as a participant here, a live participant tonight, is if you could chuck your questions into the chat, and please just don't hold back, but also please make them really short, because I have such an appalling attention to detail. It's really hard for me to read that tiny font and keep going with it. So Tanya, over to you. What is a baroness?
Fantastic. So you might be wondering why we choose this term, and some people say that's a fairly negative term. It's taking a negative term and turning it into something celebrational and empowering. And it just goes back to when Julia Gillard was, before she was Prime Minister, when she was in Parliament, a horrible senator accused her of being deliberately barren and said, how would she know how to run the country? She was deliberately barren. And so a group of women were sitting around the table one day and we said, well, we're deliberately barren. I think that makes us baronesses. And so the Baroness movement was born, and we have had a lot of fun with it, like a real lot of fun with it.
Excellent. And Jude, I noticed on the blurb for the SLF that you are not yet a baroness. So is there some kind of initiation ritual that you have to go through? How does one become a baroness?
Yes, please tell me. I want to know.
You just take the title and you own it.
Own it.
Okay.
Just own it and love it.
All right, great. Well, we're going to get down to a bit more about what it's all about there. Now, our first question that came through is, why is this even a thing? That is the most millennial question I think I've ever started anything with, but why is this even a thing? Why is it?
Well, it's interesting. When we did our event, our live event back at the Sustainable Living Festival a few years back, I can't tell you how many people walked up afterwards and said, it's just amazing to hear this spoken about. And that's why it's still a thing, because people still aren't hearing live conversations between women who are owning this and celebrating it. So there's a lot of discourse, there's a lot of magazine articles, but they're not hearing the conversations.
Okay. All right. So it's good to be just getting out there and having those conversations and giving people a chance to ask the tricky questions they might be a bit embarrassed to ask. You know, they'll happily put their hand on some woman's stomach when they see that she's pregnant, but they're a bit stay backy about asking us questions. Okay. Jump in at any time, baronesses, because you've got like a title. So what do you do with your time, baronesses? Poor empty lives that you have.
Yes, it's so empty. I found it really hard to even find time to do this. This is important because we get to save the planet. You know, one less kid at a time.
Is that what it's about for you, Nikki? Is it about population? Partly,
yeah. I love the fact that that is another unspoken thing that's going on our planet. We've got how many billions of people? I think it was up to 8 or something.
Nearly 8, yeah.
Nearly 8. I'm doing my job. You know, in terms of sustainability, yes, that is one of the reasons. The other reason is I like my fabulous life. It's not that I hate children. I don't.
That's the next question. Okay.
See, I'm already skipping to the next question. I love my life, and yeah, why not?
So, if there wasn't a climate crisis, would you is the real reason you're barren nothing to do with the environment? Is it just because you've got a really good life? Are you just is it really much more selfish than saving the planet? Or is it like a bit of both?
Well, actually, I mean, I think there's lots of things that feed into it. So, but ultimately, even if the planet was fine, I still would choose to not have kids, because that's right for me. And I love spending my time and being really, involved in community in different ways, and going to the beach.
Yeah. Takes a village. What about you, Jude?
Well, I mean, I love the environmental part, but that was really an afterthought. It really was just because I'm like, I just don't have any desire to have children. And then I thought, well, it seems silly to have a child if you don't want to have a child, especially given that it probably isn't particularly great for the planet. But I'm not nearly as globally conscious as the other two Baronesses here. But I'm, I'll gladly just say, oh yeah, it's for the environment, but it's really because I just don't want them. So
maybe 10% for the environment, 90% for the dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's even generous. That, but yeah, I would say about that.
What about you, Tanya?
Oh, look, I find so many things in life an ethical minefield, and such a big responsibility. And what could be a bigger responsibility? So I think it's I was overwhelmed by the decision, the responsibility, and then I was really enjoying myself too much to go, yeah, I'm going to go for this overwhelming responsibility now. Yeah.
Fair enough. So we've got, okay, here's a question that came in on Slido. So this is a big one. Global warming impacts are impending, and a lot of young people right now are questioning the wisdom of having their own kids. But what if we can change our trajectory? Do you say we can or can't? Like, are you just saying there's no chance things will get better, so I'm not having kids? Or what if we could change our trajectory? Would you have kids then?
I think this sort of jumps to the other question. I believe the children are our future. Kind of, it sort of links to that. Could we change the trajectory? Are children the future? And I'll just channel Greta Thunberg, her answer to we're waiting for the children to make it better. She said with the deepest passion, she turned around and said, how dare you? How dare you put that on us to make it better when you haven't until now? And I just always think of that. Yeah.
Here's one. How many carbon credits have I earned by choosing not to have 2.5 children? That's from Rose Kulak. Does anyone know? Is anyone a life cycle engineer here? I know that the average Australian emits about 25 tonnes of CO2 a year. So if you're, not having 2.5 children, average age 70, 150, 200, many thousands of tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent you are saving. So as long as you're living a good lifestyle yourself as well, you're not going to make that go bad any other way. Have the Baronesses read the book She I Dare Not Name by Donna Ward? That's from Mary Hall.
No.
That's juicy.
No. Sounds good.
All right. Well, maybe with Mary, maybe you need to send us a link to that so we can get in on there. Are there any other? Okay, I can tell just by looking at you lot. There are no other grand baronesses over 60 listening. I'm nudging 60. How do you cope with all your grandmother peers? Does anyone? Well, what about for you guys? You've got friends who are mothers. Do you? Does that impact on you?
I love talking with my friends who are mothers and being part of their journey and having relationships with their children. And I really ask for that with my dear friends. I really want to be part of that. And I love having children in my life. So.
Anyone else?
I'm sort of at that age where heaps of people are starting to have in the last couple of years. There's been lots of my friends have had kids, and I think it seems like it's okay now, but I'm interested to see how it all, it's just your lives become so different. And
I have to say, as someone who, like, in my second half of my 50s, you do kind of, your friends with kids tend to, this is my experience, they tend to, because they've got more in common, they tend to do more stuff with their other friends with kids, and which means you get to hang out with kids like you, which is, not exactly a consolation prize for, one of the question before, are you just being selfish? I can say I think I am pretty selfish in not having kids, but really, what of the decisions we make in our lives are not selfish? Like, how much of our lives are driven through altruistic, virtuous things? I think I'm pretty selfish on that whole front there. Okay. We've got another question here that was sent in previously. Are any of you currently single? No. Okay, all right, so we'll go to the other question. If you're currently in a relationship and the choice is, so how do your partners, so you're all in relationships, are your partners all on board with not wanting to have kids?
Yeah.
Have you told them?
I have a bit of a funny story around that one.
Yeah.
My partner is actually a roommate that came into the house. And
are you like the Black Widow? Like they can just never leave? No.
Yeah, totally. No. Hey, how do you know me so well? No.
The Baronesses episode.
It's a really funny story because, you know, when you're dating, these kind of conversations can be quite awkward. He'd already seen me in my jammies and we'd already had the chat, oh yeah, I'm not interested in kids. It was so cruisy and so easy. And then when we got together, it was a piece of cake. We both knew, we both had that, and nothing has ever changed. So yeah, I mean, on my end, it's always been choice. Maybe different for him, but yeah, it was just a very interesting experience to have such an easy conversation around that and being on the same platform, same space.
And does he have any kids from a previous relationship?
No.
So he's a baron. Yeah. You're quite the power couple, aren't you?
Yep. Yeah, no, and I mean, most of our lives we do live very sustainably, and that is just another aspect of that.
Great. Jude, what about you?
My partner he has 2 teenage children. They're not children, they're teenagers. They're basically adults. So which was actually really cool because in previous relationships, even though, you know, I was like in my 20s and it felt like a far away decision anyway, although I had already made the decision not to have kids, it was like a bit of a funny conversation to have. Like partners I've had in the past all did want to have kids, I think. And so when I found out, like when I started seeing my current partner and he'd had kids and it was like very clear that he didn't want to have more kids, I was like, oh, I'm even more attracted to you right now. So
very clear in like vasectomy terms? Or...
Yes. Yeah.
And you've seen the certificate? Can't be too careful with these things. Tanya?
Yeah, it was just like an emerging trajectory. I think in my 20s I thought, no way. And then I met my partner in my early 30s and I thought, oh yeah, we might. And then I could just never do that. And then that's how that trajectory emerged. And then I had a cry from the ovaries.
How did that go?
And I said to him, oh, I think we need to do this. And he was like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. And so after a few months, that calmed right down again.
That is a really important tale of caution, like cautionary tale, because I had exactly the same thing when I was about 37. Like same, like Jude, I was about as interested in having babies as you were from, you know, like my younger years. And then when I was about 37, it was like this drive, and it wasn't like I wanted to raise a family. I just wanted to bake a baby. I just wanted this body to make a human being. I just thought it was the most incredible thing. And I was fixated. I was looking at them everywhere. Luckily, my therapist at the time said, because I had just had my first puppy as well, and I said, look, I've done such a good job with Spinky. Like, he's just turned out so well. I really think I'm ready for, you know, this. Anyway, and she just suggested I give it 12 months. And during that time, met my partner, got distracted, and totally, you know, it all waned. But that's a really, like, because I don't know, have any of you copped the, oh, just wait, it'll hit you, which is effectively what I'm saying now. Did you have it, Nikki?
Yeah, and I'm kind of that tipping edge where people are like, oh, well, you better hurry up. It's nearly done. Like, you know, And it's really interesting to, you know, and I've made lots of excuses in the past because I'm like, you know, it's a bit difficult in that area, but you know, just because this conversation is not being spoken about. So, but I'm just really, I've just totally lost my train of thought.
That's all right. So you've been, you know, you've had the
yeah, and I mean, I can understand what you're talking about, that real passion, that real drive to have kids just for a short time, but I don't think I ever did. I had this curiosity, and I had curiosity when I was younger, when I was maybe between 25 and 35. I was kind of 25 and 30. I was like, what would that be like? And I've always been curious about what it would feel like to create a baby.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what it'd be like to have something kicking inside you? Like,
yes, that's the bit
organs and stuff. Maybe I'll, you know.
Maybe there's a virtual reality, augmented reality experience that we can,
Yeah, but I on the other hand too, I love having the role of being an auntie. I love having the role of, you know, being that other party that's not the mother.
Yeah.
Which is a very
fun one. Yeah.
Fun, yeah, but it's very sacred as well. I take that really, really seriously, and have a lot of fun. So I think that you know, as I think you touched before, Bernie, it's the altruistic aspect of it as well. You can have lots of fun in your life, but you also have more space and time to be able to give as you want to give and as needed in the community.
Yeah, totally. I'm very pro that. Now we've got a question for Jude.
Oh, Bernie, can I just add something? Because I think regret is such a big theme. So for women that are feeling like they probably don't want to, but then they get this huge, everybody says, you're going to regret. And I suppose what's really interesting is I've actually had mothers that said they've regretted, like,
having children.
Incredible. It's brave of them to say that. So I think it can be both ways. And we always think that the barren woman is going to regret, but we can regret a lot of things. So, you know, we can drive ourselves crazy with which choice, but if we're feeling like we're on a trajectory and a journey and a calling,
Yeah. Well, you've just got to be true to yourself, and you know, you can only make the best decision you can make for yourself at the time. Now, here's a question for Jude. I think it might have been sent in by a friend of yours, just having a bit of a scan of it, Jude. Jude, do you have any Baroness friends who have suddenly changed their minds? And if so, what do you reckon is behind their change of focus?
Well, that's really...
I feel you need to name names.
Oh, I'm going to. And their addresses. No. It's funny because I was... it's sort of similar to what we were just talking about like that friends of mine who were like sort of in their mid to late 30s and had that like... they'd never wanted to have kids, and then all of a sudden they started talking about having kids, and like people I've known for years, and I'm like, this is so, you know, bizarre. And I'm like, you shouldn't talk to me about it because I'm just going to be like, don't do it, you know. So you should just do whatever you want, but also don't do it. But and I feel like it is funny because it's often with a couple of friends in mind, it feels like it's a phase that they have for a few months or for 6 months or whatever, and then it just seems to like, I don't know, it just seems like they continue on, and they don't seem filled with regret, or if they are, they're hiding it incredibly well. But they just seem to be like, oh yeah, like I just had this sort of hormonal feeling for a bit. And but in terms of like, what's behind it, maybe it is just like that. Something in your body happens, or maybe it's also I still get so much like you'll change your mind, you know, and even like having a partner with kids, there's an assumption automatically that people are like, well, your needs aren't getting met because you're not going to be able to have children. I'm like, no, you don't understand. That's exactly what my needs are. That's so.
And so do you feel fine saying that to people when they say that to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, sometimes it feels like it's just kind of a waste of breath, because I just know that they think everything I say is I'm lying to myself because they're like, well, you just don't know what you want yet. But yeah, like, and obviously in my shows and stuff, I try and talk about it, you know, in different ways. But yeah, like I think I'm hoping that, like, it's in my 20s, it was a lot more like, oh, you'll change your mind. And now it's sort of turning into a bit more like, okay, but you're going to need to do this pretty soon. So it seems to.
Tickety tock, lady. Tickety tock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned your shows. So I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but Jude has accessorized with an upright piano behind and a keyboard in front. So I'm seeing music happening and I'm seeing a number happening. So we're going to later on, do stick around, because at 7:40 you're going to be treated to a live rendition of Jude playing a song that is very much on point tonight. So we have only got about 13 minutes left. Please whack your questions into the chat on the side. Keep them nice and short. There was something up here I really liked about Alison is deliberately barren and deliberately sleeping in this weekend too. That's correct.
Baroness Alison.
Yeah, go Baroness Alison. This is from, this is one copied over from Slido, so submitted earlier. Couldn't environmental activists who raise kids to love the environment rather than money and stuff have kids and not everyone else? Is that too genetically engineered? Like, what do you think about this kind of reward system for raising environmentally aware kids and being environmentally? No, Tanya, I'm seeing a bit of this.
How do you know? Because children can turn out really different from their parents, and you don't know if you're going to have Hitler or Coffee and Anne. You just don't know.
Or Coffee and Anne was that?
Give some female examples.
Did you just say Hitler or Coffee and Anne? That's a Likert scale. I really like that. I'll be using it.
You're going to have a child that's going to make a difference. There's, the interesting question about making the difference is we've had 8 billion people so far, but we haven't turned the trajectory. I hope we can, but you're going to be if one person's going to change the trajectory, wow.
And I think that feeds into what you were saying, Nikki, about the role that we can have, not changing the trajectory, but what role, something you just said then, Tanya, reminded me of this question about individuals make choices, but our species survives in community. Tribes need children, but not everyone has to have them. Should we all consider the common good too? So that came in sort of a question, sort of a comment. Any responses to that?
Makes sense.
I could go with a yes.
Yeah. I think it's just logic that in society that there is 8 billion people. Why couldn't we all have aunties and uncles and brothers and sisters that are part of a tribe? That seems like the way we should go.
And isn't that like an expression as well? Like it takes a village.
Yeah.
It's like there's.
No, I just coined that like just minutes ago. I made that up, and that's mine.
So I owe you some royalties for saying it just.
Now, be generous with it.
But I think the other thing is too about being compassionate and loving to other adults. We often emphasise caring for the children and not necessarily the community around us.
Oh, look, taking someone's kids for a walk around the park for an hour and a half so they can just lie the hell down and stare out a window is a great gift that some of my friends have gotten to enjoy. Not many. Now, on the question of selfishness, it seems you gals do huge amounts of work overtime, backfill maternity leave gaps, and claim no family tax benefits for your efforts. Brilliant. So I like that we've got onto the GDP and I guess, just general questions of taxation here. Do you agree that child-free people or women are discriminated against when it comes to getting value for our taxes? For example, people with children get a family tax benefit, baby bonuses, subsidised childcare and education. What do we child-free people get for our taxes? Is that you agreeing, Tanya?
That's a great statement. Thanks.
Do you agree?
Yeah, look, obviously, you know, taxes need to care for everybody who's arrived and everybody who's there. But yeah, it's a good statement. Yeah. What do you get for not adding to the mix? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone in our audience has anything to say about that, if they'd put it in the chat. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can put answers in chat as well. Sorry, it's been a while since I've Zoomed, so I'm a bit light on with the details of the functionality there. I think, yeah, I mean, geez, being a parent, yeah, you might get some tax benefits or whatever benefits, but bloody hell, there's a hell of a lot of costs involved as well. Haley wants a baby less bonus, and Catherine is saying you get career advancement. Oh, okay, yeah, true. Absolutely. No discrimination. You don't see the women who are on their career trajectory having that time out for maternity leave and then suddenly they miss the steps that their non-childed people have. And I think that's a little typo from Alice there. So we've got another couple of questions. The question about parental pressure and do you feel bad about not giving your parents grandchildren, not letting your parents have the right to be? You laugh, Baroness Jude.
Yes.
What is it that gives you such a moment of jet?
I just when my sister, I have an older sister, and when she had a child, I feel like her stocks went up so high to my like I just yeah, and I think, you know, my parents, like, they also, I'm Jewish background, so it's like, you know, that's a, you know, of the Jewish stereotypes of, you know, like, where are my grandchildren, all that sort of thing. And you know,
I've got all these matzo balls to give to
them. So yeah, it is like, it's a, I think you know, it's like an ongoing, like my parents, they get it, but like they don't get it, but they understand that it's a thing that I've decided.
Do you need your sister to have 5.2 children so that it averages out to the 2.6 each? Because that's what I'm going on. So I just realised how dark it is in my place. Sorry, oops. There we go. Bit of production value there. Because I'm one of 12 children, and I know. So luckily, wow, there's a lot of compensating going on here. So luckily, Mum had 24 grandchildren. I think maybe 25 or 26. So I was completely off the hook. So yeah, you've just got to work the averages. You can't. Yeah. So that's Anyway, I mean, we might have done some damage by creating all those children, but not me personally. So I guess it is selfish, like absolving myself of that little bit of guilt there. I don't know. Now here's a this is a really difficult question, I think. Not so much for me because my wife's sperm count is negligible, but if any of you were to accidentally fall pregnant tomorrow, would you continue on with the pregnancy? Don't feel you have to answer it. It is a very curly one, but
I'm just trying not to answer so quickly so I seem like a horrible person. But I would not continue with the pregnancy.
Just okay.
This is a big moment, isn't it? Ooh.
It is a big moment.
Yeah.
So you are 100% sure that you just do not want to have children?
Yeah, and I think it's also like, and I'm sorry if I'm being too abrasive with it. It's just more like I've had to really learn that it's like I learnt by saying so many wrong things that this is such a sensitive topic. But for me, I'm kind of like, I just think it's such an individual choice, and which I know that everyone, like a lot of people, agree with. But yeah, it's not a hard decision for me.
Mm. I was raised Catholic, and I'm a total fatalist. So if I got pregnant, which would be a freaking miracle, because I'm postmenopausal as well. So all right, just wind this back, 10 years ago, 20, I don't know. I think I probably would have the baby, just because it'd be like, Jesus, if this has happened, there's something going on here. So I'm just probably more.
It could have been Jesus, Bernie.
That.
It could have been Jesus. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's no.
You said Jesus. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think it's more. I'm much more a reactive person and not. So we've got a great question here. Just also a reaction to you don't always get career advancement because women can be tough on those who make alternative choices. That's interesting. Patrina Adams is saying, how do you respond to the question, but who's going to take care of you when you're old? Nikki, who's going to take care of you when you're old, which is many, many years away, decades, decades away?
There's going to be plenty of people to take care of me, and I'm going to be looking so fabulous because I haven't run after kids all the time that I'm going to be able to take care of myself and all my fabulous other Baroness people to look after me. And we'll be in like a little,
coven.
Yeah, that's the word. No, there are plenty of people. I've got beautiful nephews and nieces who are like brothers and sisters to me.
Yeah.
I know that there's lots of people who are going to be able to take care of me. And I actually think it's, I feel, in my opinion, it would be selfish to have kids because I want someone to look after me.
Mm.
So...
And not only that, a bit of a dud bet because, not everyone's kids are great at caring for them when they're older.
Yeah. Yep. They move countries. See you later. Yeah, totally.
Well, the unfortunate reality of this society is that most people end up in aged care if they're not strong enough to stay at home, and the very small number of people are being taken care of by their family.
Mm.
Yeah.
Alice just added the Baroness aged care centres would be a hoot. No room for loneliness for those used to independence. So that is something. Maybe do you think you'll be gathering together with other Baronesses in like a Baroness old age home, aged care home?
I'd sign up now.
Yeah,
I'm already hanging out with you all.
All right, great. Okay, so I think we've solved the aged care issue. We've solved the career issue, kind of. It's a bit here and there. The parental guilt, the grandparental guilt. What happens if you accidentally? How will you know what it is to be a real woman?
I don't. I'll just never know. But I'm fine. But I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Such a narrow way of defining being a woman, isn't it? To only think that that's the only way to know what being a real woman is.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, Nikki was about to say something.
No, that's okay. You go.
Oh, and I was just going to say, I think there's so much to unpack in that question because it's like
go for it. Start unwrapping. Just parcel post. Pass the parcel.
Because just the whole gender binary thing as well, and just this idea that like men do this and women do this, and it's like just as I get older, I just am constantly finding new ways in which that is so unhelpful and destructive, and like the fact that having a child it took me so long to kind of realize that, because I didn't have any maternal instincts, I always just thought there was something wrong with me, like I'm not a real woman or, anything like that. And then I was like, wait, these are two separate, this is like being a mother or being a parent is just a completely different thing to like what your gender identity is. And it just, they're separate. They're just separate things.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I can guarantee I couldn't have said that better myself. I would still be rambling and, confusing my words. Now, I love this from Catherine, and I think this is probably going to have to be our last question. Can you really cope with real pain not having gone through childbirth? I've just got one word for you: opiates. Like the medical profession has a really great selection of pharmaceuticals to help ameliorate pain. So I'm not sure if that is a bit glib, but does anyone?
had surgery. I don't know.
I haven't had kids, so I don't know what kind of pain that is, but I've suffered plenty of pain, and I'm here and I'm still loving life.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. You know, that's like you said, there's a lot to unpack even in that. But yeah, I think we all go through different types of pain in our life, and it's important to acknowledge whatever that pain is. And, you know, primal pain can be a lot of different things. But I also acknowledge that childbirth would be extraordinarily painful, and I'm not discounting that either. I think.
No, and I don't know if we made that clear enough right up the start. You know, totally everyone's choice. This is in no way trying to recruit people to the Baroness cause. If anything, it's like we've already filled the aged care centre, so we have to start building some more. So it's, you know, it's in no way disrespecting people's choices one way or another. There's here from Patricia, there's a push for things to be gender neutral these days. Do you think we should push for parental neutrality? I'm not even sure what that means. Like,
it's interesting. Is it getting back to the real woman mother thing and just saying the experience of being a parent? Because that must be difficult for fathers as well, because people are like the mothers so much more, and it must be difficult for fathers. So maybe that's where that question is going.
All right. We are fully up against the hard out here. We're about to go to a musical, So Long Farewell, which is, I just realised that's a bit of a Baroness Sound of Music thing that I just did there. So look at what happened. But before that, do the Baronesses want to have a parting word or two before we go? Is there any message you really want to get out to people about, you know, whether your life is pointless, empty, selfish, and not really giving to the community, or I don't know, something else?
Having fun. Yeah, we're having fun. And that's what I've loved being part of the Baroness conversation, is actually being able to celebrate this and say, this is not a sad situation that we're coming to terms with. We are having fun.
And doing good in life as well. So it's not like you're just a party girl, Paris Hilton kind of thing. I mean, I don't know, maybe you are. But
Speak yourself, no.
Nikki?
Just go with what's right for you and honour that and share it and have the conversations, and know that if you choose to come on board with us, it's a beautiful life and you can make it whatever you want it to be. So like a bit like, you know, Tanya said, have fun. If that's where you want to go for it.
And Jude?
I'm trying to be succinct because I have like 8 things that immediately popped into my head. But
pop them out one after the other. Like my mother did.
I guess it's like growing up, the thing I always heard was, it's like you'll change your mind, and it's like it seemed like if you're not sure if you want to have kids, just have kids and it'll all work out. Like that seemed to be the kind of the narrative that I absorbed, and I just want to stress that I don't think that that's very good advice. And if you're not sure, you're not sure. Like it's also like I've met so many different people who've, you know, like have had all the like people that have had kids that have said that they didn't feel like they should have had kids, but even though they love their kids, and, you know, people who wish that they did have kids, but they're also like, oh, you know, but it's okay. Like it's not, you know, and just that, I think the best piece of information or advice I received was from a friend of mine who did have kids, that was basically like, you know, people who have kids because they're worried they're going to miss out on, you know, being a parent. It's like, well, if you don't have kids, you'll miss out on being a parent. But if you have kids, you'll miss out on not being a parent. So it's just like, just do what is, it's kind of what Nikki said, you know, just do what's right for you. And it's also, and don't let your Jewish relatives pressure you into them if you don't.
I love that bit of advice about if you're not sure, just do it, which is certainly not what parents say when you're thinking about getting a tattoo. Like if you're not 100% sure, just get that butterfly, you know, across your chest. No, none of that. All right. Thank you, everyone. I know it's not the same as being live in person, but we have got such a treat for you right now. Jude Pearl is going to serenade us with her wonderful hit, which is a little bit on point, as I said earlier. Let's hang out. Everyone, sit back, and we'll just be the doo-wop people in the background. So, Jude, over to you. Take it out.
Back in 06, it was so much fun. I was always the sober one, but I didn't need to drink when you were around. I could call you day or night, rain or shine. You always had me laughing on the ground, and I would never want to get in your way. Your life decisions are yours to make. Forcing my opinions is not my place. But if you wouldn't mind just doing this one thing for me. Don't have a baby. I'd never asked you for much. Don't have a baby. They'll steal your sleep and destroy your crotch. I know that babies are truly remarkable. They're pure and honest and make this world more beautiful. But in case you didn't realize, sorry to disappoint, but Charles Manson and Pauline Hanson were babies at one point. So don't have a baby, and we can still hang out and watch movies that we've seen before. Back in school we would always joke how weddings were ass-blowing smoke, and if either of us got engaged, we gotta punch the other one in the face. Well, you told me you're gonna tie the knot. I punched you in the face, but I guess you forgot about our pact. So I congratulated you and got you an ice pack. And I watched you walk down the aisle of death as you took your last independent breath. You don't have to be as ambitious as Lady Macbeth, but if you wouldn't mind just doing this one thing for me. Don't have a baby. I'm pretty sure there's a human surplus. Don't have a baby. There's already like a million of us. I know you think this is the thing to do. Push a human out of your front wazoo. At the very least, you don't need one brand new. You can still love a child even if it doesn't look like you. So don't have a baby, and we can still hang out and talk about people that we hate from school. So you and your husband Greg are talking about fertilizing your egg. You said there was no way, not for at least a couple of years. Well, 3 months, 1 week, and 5 days later, guess who's got a parasite living in their fleshy incubator? Now I know why you've been drinking light beer. And I hope this baby brings you bliss even when you're cleaning up shit and piss. Whatever made you think that this was a good idea? I gotta know. Why'd you have a baby? You're the 5th one of my friends who's gone and had a baby. Now who's gonna hang out with me till 4 a.m.? Humans are designed to procreate. People ask me why I refuse but so is using violence to get what you want. So you've gone and had a baby. Well, good luck getting that baby to be any kind of wingman. Baby wingman, that's a funny concept. Thank you.
Woo!
Oops, that was so great. Thanks so much, Jude. Baby wingman, indeed. Give it up for our Baronesses, Baroness Tanya, Baroness Nikki, Baroness Jude, brand new Baroness Jude. I'm Bernie Hobbs. Enjoy the rest of the SLF. Go to slf.org.au to find out what's coming up on the weekend, the local lunch, workshops. There's a whole lot of stuff going on.